Welcome to the Weekend Must Watch on Intercut, the weekly show going through all the movies, all the TV, all of the entertainments that you really need to know that you just can't cut away from. I'm your co-host Arturo Zurita, and joining me to get slimed like the slime house? I'm forgetting what it was because I didn't get to catch it this time around. It's Zachary Shevich.
Yeah, between some Ghostbusters and some Nickelodeon stuff, there's a lot of
Hey, bro.
sliming going on this
I
week.
wasn't trying to
Not
make
all
the
of it's
comparison.
good. Not all of
Different
it's
types
good.
of sliming, yeah.
Yeah.
And you also got don't forget the rat beef that we got is a lot of sliming in, sliming out. Slime everywhere, bro. It's slime season,
Yeah.
I guess. But
Yeah, exactly. It's the slime of the moment. I don't know. But yeah, we're back. It's another weekend must watch after our weeks in the wilderness of Austin. Uh, Shout out to anybody who's joined us
the
since
Wild
our South
West.
by Southwest coverage. This is our weekly review roundup live stream here on Weekend Must Watch, where we talk about the latest releases and keep you up to date with stuff. But we do all sorts of stuff on the channel, so make sure you're sticking around, subscribed, and keep tuning in. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and you can follow us across social media at Intercut Pod, or check out our Patreon too, patreon.com/intercutpod.
Appreciate all the new inner cuties that
Yeah.
are out there. I like treating them like they're already old inner cuties. That's
Right?
they're just hopping into the flow that's already going.
Yeah.
Because
If
we have a
you
lot to cover.
exactly, you can be an inner cutie, an inner cutty, an inner cutter. We have heard all sorts of variations of it. And hey, and one more thing, just if you want to, you can support us by giving us that 5-star review over on iTunes. We did get a new one, which is always really appreciated. You know,
What
like
they say?
makes me feel great. Blue Goblin 3 titled their review "Nice" smiley face. They said, "Great pod that has exposed me
Oh,
to
there's
a
more?
stupid amount of great film/TV. The only downside is that being an Aussie means that all the best recommendations are months away from release locally. Thanks, guys. Keep it up." Quick solution to that: just move to America. It's simple, right? Like we got the movies before you, so come here.
Super easy. Yeah, it's what Zach
Yeah.
tells me all the time. We're getting a movie over here in New York. Just move to New York because
Yeah.
it's just that simple. But some of
Exactly.
us are just a little slower to get there. But hey, we appreciate the Aussie love. We appreciate all the inner cuties who are out there as well. We are going to be doing all of the March stuff that we have missed in this episode here. And by that, I mean half the stuff that we missed because we're still missing a couple more.
Yeah.
So there's going to be like a layout. We usually at the beginning of the month or of the year with Sundance, with South by, that's when we have like the monthly recaps we have to do because we're out for so many weeks.
Mhm.
But we're back, bro. What do you have other than Tribeca?
Nothing. I'm kicking back for the next few weeks.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like we on vacation at this point.
Mhm.
Chicago Critics, I think, is around the corner in
Yeah.
May. We got hot docs as well. I'm doing those virtually,
Yeah.
and
You mentioned Tribeca. That's in June.
that's in June. So we're not going to con. That's for sure. I cannot do that
Not
right
this
now.
year.
Nah, but the big like coverage stuff is going to continue for us for the fall. So right now it's movie season. I looked at that April, that May, and that June, and that July schedule. It didn't let up till August 18th. So I don't know what they're doing on the 20th of August, but it is nothing but hits from here on out, dude. I am really excited for this year in movies because it seems like we're besides the strikes from last year, we still have a good one upon us. A lot of movies that were delayed from last year that are going to come out, but a lot that have come out this week. So Zach, let's jump into
Yeah.
the movies of this week because we had a slew of stuff, not just for this past week, but like I said, for a bunch of the stuff in January. But we got stuff with the new good stuff.
Mhm.
If it's even
Well,
considered
we got a
good
mix. I think we got a mixed bag. We got 2 movies that I thought were all right, and 2 that I did not really enjoy in terms of new
Yeah.
stuff.
Hey, we'll keep this one brief over here because I didn't get the chance to see it, but Letterboxd went all slimed out. Why is this movie coming out in March? What does Easter have to do with slime? These should be Halloween movies. These should
Well,
be
ghosts and rebirth, and I don't know. There's something there, right?
Frozen Empire. That sounds like winter to me. What
Yeah.
is this doing coming out so early? Zach,
I don't
I
know.
didn't mind the last one. I thought it was decent.
Mhm.
But this feels like they're redoing something that they've been trying since 2016, which is what if we got the Ghostbusters back together? They ain't
Mhm.
won in 2016. But what if we did it again in a couple years ago? What if we do it again now?
Yeah.
I saw a stat saying that the 2016 version that gets belittled all the time
Mhm.
made more money than this and the last one combined for opening. That's sad.
Yeah. I mean, they did the whole like let's try an all-women cast, and then people pushed back on that, and there was a lot of like weird men's rights activist stuff, and so they very
Tried an
quickly
all
pivoted.
ghost
It's like, oh
cast
no,
now
is
with
this
these
what
old
you
guys.
want? And it's just made the franchise worse. It feels like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the thing that really sort of annoys me about the last 2 is that it feels like it's sort of lost the plot of what Ghostbusters is or was. And this isn't me trying to be like, well, this isn't my Ghostbusters or anything like that, but like when this franchise worked best, it was because it was like a workplace comedy about people who
That's a
do
good point.
ghost stuff, right? Like it really emphasized that, and especially with the cast, with Dan Aykroyd, who is obviously a really well-known comedian, uh, Ivan Reitman, who's a legend in terms of what he's done behind the camera and also some stuff in front of it. And then obviously Bill Murray is like the iconic comedian. Ernie Hudson also part of that. Even what's his name that I'm forgetting from Honey I Shrunk the Kids, Rick Moranis in that first one.
He didn't come
So
back for this one, did he?
no, he did not. They couldn't throw enough
That,
money at him to
that
get
would have
him in this
actually
one.
gotten me to go see a Tuesday show.
But yeah, I don't know. Like the roots are so much more comedic than what has become like a sci-fi adventure with quips.
I feel you.
And it's so invested in like the lore behind these ghosts. And it just doesn't really, it's not that interesting. Like they're trying to inject this gravity into what has traditionally been a very kind of light and breezy fun franchise, and it just feels like off, like that, like an imbalance, like they're trying to be more like other movies instead of being more like themselves.
Like
And to
Marvelification.
maybe it's the Marvelification, the franchiseification of it all, but like even a Marvel movie, the average Marvel movie I find has more jokes than this one did. It was really just devoid of it. um like I they seem fine as actors to me, but I don't think Finn Wolfhard's funny. I don't think McKenna Grace is funny. I love Carrie Coon as an actress, but like she's
Not
also
here.
not exactly like a bag of laughs. So you get all these new people involved, and they're kind of there to sort of just be on this family adventure, but then there's also they got to bring back all the old Ghostbusters, and they're going to bring in Kumail Nanjiani and Patton Oswalt, and there's not just Finn Wolfhard and McKenna Grace, but there's their friends too. And at a certain point, we're like dealing with 20 different characters who all have barely gotten any story time. I mean, they show up to do like the final climactic ghost busting, and they're like rolling deep. It's like more people
Endgame.
more people than the average soccer team. It feels like Endgame, right? Like that's what they're going for, is this massive
That's
collection
ridiculous.
of characters you love, except I don't like any of them anymore.
It's not ghost busting. They need to be people busting at this point. You need
Yeah,
a type 4.
exactly. Like just cut it down a little bit. And I think the thing is, like, I feel Kumail Nanjiani and Patton Oswalt as like they're the newest injections into this franchise, and they are people who have extensive backgrounds in comedy. I feel like they know the tone that Ghostbusters should be. They're not getting the best
Interesting.
writing, but they're at least going for something comedic. The rest of the movie around them is just kind of flat and pretty boring. I found it to just not really merit its existence. It really feels like they're trying their best to portray this really like silly little franchise into this reverential kind of epic thing, and it just feels off, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
it's because this is what we're doing to every piece of nostalgic pop culture, is sort of dusting it off and trying to show our reverence for how holy and amazing it all was. But like you lose the plot when you try to make a Ghostbusters sequel and it's just not funny.
True. I like what you said there. It's almost like a religion now. You're showing your loyalty to the brand
Yes.
to a degree.
Yes.
And I mean, you saw that at the beginning, right? Because it scared me in the last one. I thought I was getting like a Pixar short. Ooh, what's Ghost Corpse? No, Ghost Corpse is like their full on corporation now.
Mhm.
I think that's a big factor to it, but I see you pulled it up there. I like the vicious question there, or his observation more so, that Kumail's joined late for Marvel. He's joined late for Star Wars. He's joined late for Men in Black. And now Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
You like Kumail. Do
I
you
do.
think like he needs to hop on? Like that's the thing. Like you need to get the review out when people are looking for reviews. You gotta be on the comedy train when the
Yeah.
franchise is kicking.
Yeah, I'm not to like psychoanalyze him too much, but knowing that he is like a very nerdy guy in real life, I wonder if there's a part of him that's like, well, George Lucas just called, I can't say no kind of thing. But like, I'm sure it's like a dream come true to be involved with so many of these iconic franchises. But yeah, like the reason they're iconic is not the movies that are happening now; it's the movies that happened before.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, bad luck for an actor that I do like and I do think is funny in the right role.
yeah.
But I'd like to see him in a little more Big Sick and a little less Marvel's whatever.
More Central Intelligence.
Sure, honestly, sure.
I remember him being in Men in Black, and what's crazy about that is that I felt this was also what's his name, Thor.
Hemsworth?
Yeah, just trying out his comedy for Marvel.
Yeah.
I thought it, like for Ghostbusters, I thought it was the funniest part in that
Hmm.
2016 one. But
Yeah.
he literally said, "I use these women kind of like as an exercise because of the twist we were going to take with Thor Ragnarok." And to me, I look at Men in Black International and I look at Ghostbusters 2016 as just like testing grounds. These things were rehearsals for people who are trying out comedy or people who are trying to revamp another franchise. Kumao needs to get on something that's going full throttle. I know Eternals was supposed to be that.
Yeah.
Like, he's ripped now. It's the new Kumao that. Would you say he's the better one of this, like between Patton Oswalt?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a more significant part. I don't know. He's fine. I think Patton Oswalt's part's a little funnier, but
Whoa,
it's
okay.
yeah, it's just like they they are sort of giving him kind of the new Rick Moranis role in this one. I don't know if it works all the time, but he's trying, and I think you know they really are centering McKenna Grace a lot in this one, and I think she's good in
Mm,
a dramatic way, but the drama isn't interesting, and she's not comedic. I don't know.
bruh, tell me why, and just so I can confirm here, it'll be the last thing that I say.
Yeah.
But can you explain to me why McKenna Grace is gonna be at Lollapalooza, bro?
Is she an artist too? This is news to
She
me.
is literally announced for Lollapalooza.
Well, now I'm coming, right?
Hey, McKenna Grace, you do your thing, girl. It
Yeah.
may not be the best movies, but maybe that's because you were invested in music. Now, I like McKenna Grace as an actress, but I agree with
Yeah.
you. She's in the franchise era thing. I want to see her go back to some of the other stuff because
Yeah.
she's about to hit a whole new
Yes.
slate of roles. She's no longer the little girl.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And look, like she's doing like an interesting job here. I just think it's unfortunately a bad part. The person I'm more concerned about is her co-star Finn Wolfhard, who has like run this kind of awkward teenager
to the
sort
ground.
of into the ground, man. It's
And
the
he's the best
same
one out of the group, no?
performance
Well,
over and
sorry.
over and
We
over.
got somebody else. We got somebody else coming up. He's not leading this movie. The other co-star is leading at least theirs. Yeah, but keep going.
Mhm.
I agree with you. I feel bad for the kids.
Yeah, and
Will they have something?
maybe like he needs to grow up a little so people can take him seriously in adult roles. Like he's still only 21, but I think just shoehorning him into this like awkward but kind of edgy cool but not edgy enough to be a threat to your parents kind of
Yeah.
vibe, where he's like not even that funny, he's just awkward. I don't know, it's really running dry for me.
Yeah, I like them. I think his best version of that has been in the It movies. I think
Mm,
that was even better than when he did it in Stranger Things.
yeah.
So we'll see. I guess the final thing would be is do you recommend this over the last one, Afterlife? Or do you think it's getting worse?
I, it's hard. That's hard. I
Even?
think just about even, maybe a slight edge to this one, just because
Really?
I think even the addition of stuff like Kumail and Patton and stuff just makes it feel a little bit less like you're just scraping the bottom of the barrel.
You don't like that creepy ghost thing?
Reanimated Ivan Reitman. That's the other thing. Thankfully, they leave that on the cutting room floor in this version.
Oh, I see this one is even done by the son of the last one. Remember? Because it
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
was it Reitman?
Jason Reitman is only the co-writer of this one. He didn't direct this
Yeah,
one.
but it
Uh,
wasn't Reitman, it was, what's his name? I'm blanking on who it was that they brought back. Reitman was a director of the originals, and then his boy came to do it.
yes, yes,
Who they
Ivan Reitman.
reanimated was somebody else, no?
No, was it Harold Ramis?
It was Harold Ramis, thank you.
Yes, yes,
Ivan passed after Afterlife.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, it was craziest part.
So
His
he
son
actually
takes the
gets
reins.
He gets a dedication at the end of the movie.
In this one? Okay, cool. Did they have more slime? Because that's all Pop said. I remember them talking behind the scenes for the last one, and you could tell Papa was right there with Ivan, like, you're going to do it, or with Jason, you're going to do it this way. And their biggest argument was there wasn't enough slime. Papa said that there should always be more slime. Was there enough?
Not a lot, from what I remember, to be honest. It's
Right, stay home, people.
more ice than this one. Frozen Empire, after all.
More ice. Well, that is Ghostbusters After the Life of...
Amanda wants us to wait for Immaculate so she can join us in 20 minutes.
Is she on here? All right, I'll rearrange Immaculate because there's actually a scarier movie out there.
Ooh.
Ricky Stanicky. Ricky Stanicky is the newest film to come out of Amazon Prime.
Yep.
I believe so.
Yeah.
That is trying to elevate the actor known as Jonathan Cena.
Mhm.
He premiered this, or I kind of did like a showcase for it at the Oscars, where he came out butt naked because people thought that him in the dress, the schoolgirl outfit, the little Britney Spears "Oops, I Did It Again" thing was maybe a little too much. He said, "What if I come out in full butt cheeks?" This shouldn't be 2 hours. That's the first critique I'm going to give it. There is something there, but damn that I look up and I still had 45 minutes to go. I think that may be the biggest thing that hurts this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's in his realm right now for streaming movies. John Cena knows how to make one for Hulu. He knows how to make one for Prime. Hell, he's got a whole HBO series as well with Peacemaker that I don't got on here. I want to critique him, but he seems happy.
Would you want to break up this podcast if I tell you I enjoyed this movie?
I'm not saying it's bad. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's a little too long. What did you love about Ricky Stanicky?
It is definitely too long. This is, like, to me, a very solid 3-star movie. Like, it is not
okay. I thought you were gonna hit me with like a 4-star. That's
no. It's not like a good movie, but I did laugh like at least once every couple minutes.
There was some good ones.
All of his like filthy song covers, I had to chuckle at him. Just the performance of like going through like, you know, his booze withdrawal at the airport and stuff. Like I thought he was very funny in this. If this movie was produced in 1994 and starred Jim Carrey, it'd make $200 million. But like, it's 2024 and we don't do this stuff anymore.
Hey, hold on, Jim! Don't do my boy Jim like that. Jim would have killed this.
Yeah.
The thing that's so funny about Cena is that, like, when he says "I am a good actor," that's not Ricky Stanicky. That's John.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of funny. Like, the part of what's funny about it is
pathetically funny.
Yeah, like John Cena doing this, or Zac Efron also being in these compromising positions. It's one of those comedies where you're kind of like saying, "Oh no, please don't," at the screen a lot, but it's never terribly cringe where I couldn't watch it or like I wanted it to stop. It's all just sort of like light hijinks and silly gags, and I was decently surprised by the consistency of laughs I got from this one.
Would you say you like it more than the what is it, Vacation Friends?
Vacation Friends. I was going to ask you the same question. I think it's better than Vacation Friends.
Yeah, I got a similar vibe there, and the reason I'll give this one a little bit of an edge over the other ones is because Zac Efron, Andrew Santino. Where's my third guy? Is it Jermaine?
Yeah, Jermaine Fowler.
Jermaine, right? What the heck? Why is he not on here? Part of the three. Y'all know it's Jermaine. He's on here. They play a really good trio.
Yes.
I think that the way that they are able to bounce off of each other, not just as comedians, but even dramatically, you have Zac Efron as the one who's really good at lying. Like, he's funny just because he always knows how to lie to their spouses about this idea of this fake friend that they have to always get out of hijinks, right? Jermaine Fowler is like the one who's keeping more secrets because his partner is because he's gay, he's been using Stanicky without them knowing that he's kind of like an extra partner, something they can't do. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Each person has a different like secret that they're keeping from each other. It makes it more entertaining. And then Andrew, dude, the man is killing the straight faceness of it. He just knows how to wrap up a thread of jokes perfectly. And I think they worked really well off each other.
Yeah, I mean, Zac Efron, obviously a big star. Jermaine Fowler, he's gotten some pretty cool opportunities, and I think he has a reputation already as a pretty solid comedic force in movies, from like The Blackening to even the Coming to America sequel. I love his part in Sorry to Bother You. For me, this is like a big moment for Andrew Santino, who we've seen in some bit parts, but I don't know if I've ever seen him in a role this prominent and that gives him this much to play with. Like, he's really funny. as sort of this guy who like had taking this like birth practice stuff way too seriously. You know, we know these like kind of new agey guys and stuff like that. I don't know. I thought he was
It
really
worked
fun.
well, yeah. Because
Yeah.
Zach's like really cold, and then he's the one who wants to do like skin to skin with his
Yes.
baby. He's always fighting with his mother-in-law. Yeah, that Bobby, that podcaster, the Bobby Altima, whatever her name is, he killed that interview. I've only
Yes.
seen segments of it, and he makes me laugh every single time. It's good to see him on a feature. He's really good in Dave too. I don't know if you ever were able to catch up in Dave. He
I
plays his like
still need to
brother
catch
or
up with
friend.
Dave. Yeah.
That's where I first got to know him. He's pretty solid. So, yeah, overall, Ricky Stanicky, a surprise for you then, or
Yeah. I
did you
mean,
think it was gonna be good going in?
no, I was dreading this one. Like
Ready?
something about it made it seem like the trashiest of trashy comedies. And you know, this is directed by Peter Farrelly, who is, you know, going back to comedic stuff after his Green Book and greatest beer run ever moment. But like when it comes to Peter
This man's
Farrelly
packed.
comedies, yeah, he's obviously associated with a lot of iconic comedies, but like the comedies got worse over the years, and I was genuinely worried, like,
Mm.
how bad can this one be? Because he hasn't made me laugh in a while, but he made me laugh with this one.
You think it's a matter of them getting worse, or like the landscape wasn't there for it? Because you even said that this one is a matter of like it being released at the wrong time. It would have killed back in the
Right.
day. You think the times has changed?
I don't
They got away with some jokes in this one.
they did get away with some I mean, I'm sure that like the shifting culture had some element of them like feeling out of place, but maybe enough time has passed that maybe we're circling back to some stuff. Maybe he's had enough time to like recalculate what he's doing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it works a lot better than I expected to.
So that is the newest movie over on Amazon Prime. Ricky Stanicky. Look, I think he looked foolish in the scene, but this poster goes hard, bro. Ricky Stanicky out on Prime if you were
Priscilla.
curious. Honestly, right?
Yeah.
Clean. The next one that we have over here is the Netflix release of Damsel, Millie Bobby Brown as producer, star, all that good stuff. Coming in to tell you that, yeah, that cursed movie that came out a couple years ago, I'm gonna do that one better.
Yeah.
I thought it was decent. I'm not
You
saying it's
enjoyed it?
perfect, bro.
Yeah.
I thought it was decent.
Right.
If she is gonna be producing her own stuff and trying to make these like, yo, I'm gonna like kick ass on my own. I'm not going to be like the princess who needs to be saved. We get a bunch of these stories, and this at least had her doing some trial and error stuff. The premise here is that she is a part of a family that's traveling to go get married to a richer family in the olden medieval times because they
Mhm.
don't have any money. But they don't realize that who they're marrying them off to is this like very scummy family that consists of Robin Wright as the matriarch,
Mhm.
who then uses, this is the only weird part, they use your boy Nick Robinson, who I'm pretty sure is pushing 30, to technically collect girls, right? So I guess it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're
Got
already
a
doing
young
something nasty,
face.
so it's not that far off. But pretty much, he's like marrying different women in order to be able to, like, they have this
Sacrifice them to
sacrifice
this.
thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, good way to put it. And she becomes the next one. But hey, this is not a damsel who needs saving, but a damsel who will save herself.
Yeah.
Hey, the CGI isn't the best. I think you saw that meme where they were zooming in on her hair.
Yeah.
That's a Netflix issue. But I think she came in to do a movie that was pretty spunky for what it was. And like, if I had a daughter, I'd be like, yeah, watch this stuff, not some of the other boom stuff that's out there. At least
Mhm.
this was someone who was using trial and error to get there. That said, I'm barely pushing a 3 here, bro. I'm not overpraising this movie. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, out of all the other stuff that she's done, she was a more direct character here than she was in Godzilla, which again, I still can't believe she was a producer on Godzilla.
Mhm.
And some of the other stuff that we were just saying, the Stranger Things kids have been doing that haven't been that profound.
Yeah.
I think she's got a long run ahead of her, and at least this kind of proved that she was a little bit more of an action star. Not the best action star,
Yeah. I mean,
but she's working towards it.
I'm honestly not so sure I buy her in this type of a role, and maybe it's because I feel like
She's young.
similar to Finn Wolfhard, she's playing this kind of thing a lot, where it's like, oh, she's sort of smaller, like she's not exactly like a muscly person, right? Like you
At
don't
all.
expect her to be this strong force, but then whether it's Stranger Things or even Enola Holmes, and now this, like they're trying to portray her as this like secret badass, you know. And I find her more spunky than I find her tough. And
Yeah.
sometimes when they try to portray her as tough, it just sort of doesn't really work for me. And I think
In a movie
particularly,
is when that would happen, right? Yeah.
yeah, and I think particularly that the ugliness of the CGI you mentioned really hurts for me, because it just sort of feels like she's on top of this movie a lot of times, right? Like she's
Mm.
not fully immersed, she's not fully blended into all the backgrounds. There's this one scene where she's like climbing, and she does not look like she's in that cave at all.
No.
And
She's
it's
staring at the dragon over there when it's
exactly, it's the stuff like that where I don't know, I just never I was never able to buy in to this film. It sort of plays that like prey-ish kind of thing where it's this, you know, lone person up against this monstrous force, and it's the kind of dance between them of, you know, who is in the position of power, are you getting
Yeah.
away, or who has the one up. And I don't know, I just wasn't, I think when you have trouble buying into the realness of it, it doesn't feel suspenseful. It doesn't feel fraught. So I had trouble ever really getting on board with the movie.
Remember when Sydney Sweeney said that she took the check from Saudi for the Madam
Yeah,
Web so she get the next thing? I guess that's what I'm shouting her out for. She
right.
is using this movie to get whatever that next thing is going to be through that Netflix check. You had brought up Enola Holmes. I think that's a better one than this one, because she is still able to do a little bit more of the
Yeah.
spunky action. She's able to be talkative the way she wants to be.
Mhm.
I don't think she's going anywhere. Out of the bunch from Stranger Things, Finn Wolfhard's had his good run, but he hasn't been able to lead things the way she has.
Yeah.
BG in the comments had mentioned Caleb McLaughlin, who has been doing some good stuff as well. I know he's been trying
Yeah.
to do a music career also.
I was having this conversation with Caitlin earlier. We picked Caleb, and we also picked Gayton.
Ooh,
Gayton's on Broadway, right? Or maybe not
who?
anymore, but he was doing Sweeney Todd for a bit.
Which one? The one who was
Gayton
doing
Matarazzo?
the one who's doing the prank stuff on
Dustin, yeah.
Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, look, I wish the best for all of them, bro. Like,
Right.
I don't want anything negative. And plus, you have so many eras of careers that are on the horizon. Like, you guys can take a break for 10 years. One of them should be taking a break for 10 years until things settle down, and then come back and do some other stuff. But what route would you want to see her take? I want to see her do more dramatic stuff.
Yeah. I was trying to think who she reminds me of, maybe even just like kind of physically, right? Because I don't know if I buy
Portman.
her physically for some of these roles. So what path is there for her? And I think I'd like to see her on like a Hilary Swankish type of path, where
Oh, okay.
she did a lot more of those sort of interpersonal dramas and softer roles. You know, I think that's the other thing, is the variety too. Because it's like, I get it, you can play kind of like
Ooh,
spunky and feisty, but I want to see you be a bit more vulnerable. I want to see you maybe in crisis, not always cool and confident, and just stretch a little bit, right?
yeah, I got one, bro. I think that she would be a really good Keira Knightley.
There
She's
you go. That's
British,
another one.
right? Very spunky. I
Mhm.
think that could be something.
But both Kira and Hillary, they're actresses who've had some turns in like tougher roles, like whether
Yeah,
it's Million Dollar Baby, or like
exactly.
I'm a fan of Domino with Kira did, or Pirates and stuff like that. Like you can dip a toe in, or spend plenty of time in there, but you also have to give us the other side of the coin.
Agreed. But that is the newest one, Damsel, out on Netflix. If you're curious, check it out. Just don't zoom in a little too much because you may
That
see the
hairline, I don't
faults
know.
there.
Yeah,
They said
that's
maybe
the
a
other thing.
A24 movie.
Yeah, maybe she needs to just get out of the Netflix bubble a little
Thank
bit. Like
you.
I get
It's
she's
the
got
studio that she's in. Yeah, they're not pushing
yeah,
her. She's
they're
a
not,
star child
and
right now.
they don't produce a lot of particularly great original films.
Mhm.
Some, I'm not saying to say none, but the hit
Few
rate's
and
not
far
that high.
So we'll see what she has in the future for her career. Moving on to some other stuff. I know that Amanda may still be in the green room, getting ready, freshening up. So I'll move on to some TV series stuff that
Let's
we
do it.
have over here, because we like to do a little segment where, we're not watching all 10 episodes. Not everyone's doing the binge model like Netflix anymore. So we have a couple of series that we're going to give our pilot thoughts out on. And we begin with the one that has me fascinated, because this ended up being the what was the record? The Rotten Tomatoes highest scored series of all time, and yet they fired the guy who created it. So a lot of people have been very confused as to like what's happened behind the scenes. There's a mystery in the series, but the real mystery is, why did that guy leave? I don't know if you have your theory, Zach, or if it's even important, but I think it's gonna cause a little bit of a rough because he's done 2 seasons. I don't know the plan for 97, but if you have something that works and it's sticking like way better than any of your other series have, and
Mhm.
this is the expansion to the X-Men entering Avengers,
Mhm.
oh, you might need to bring that guy back. But I've heard way too much theories about what that guy did. Um, were you a fan of the 90s X-Men? Not just the 90s. I know you like the 90s, but the
I
X-Men.
love the 90s, but
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a fan just because real fans are much deeper in their knowledge than me.
fair.
But if it's on, I'd watch it. I was never a huge superhero person, but I did watch some of the cartoons.
Yeah, I dabbled a lot in it. That was my Tulsa Strudel
Yeah.
mornings watching these. Yeah,
All right.
just that Yu-Gi-Oh, all that good stuff. Digimon, but yeah, I don't remember how it all wrapped up, so I just came into it as fresh as possible. And I think they got the vibe of it. I think this is still that Tulsa Strudel, weekend morning thing to watch. Adults and kids are practically watching the same stuff. I was at a Disney store on the way back from South by, just to give you a little tidbit of where we are at this world. And it's just adults in there. And a dude
Yep.
walks in speaking Spanish, right? And he goes, "It's just adults here." And his girlfriend looks at him and he goes, "And you're an adult in here too." Is this even meant for kids? Like,
Yeah. I don't know anymore.
I think it's an interesting path to take because at
Hmm.
that point you are able to have a better product, for Disney that is going to reach a lot of people. Sometimes that's been their divide. They're struggling with Disney Plus and Hulu being on the same platform, people making jokes about poor things being there. But I think when you're able to tap into something like this, you get the nostalgia factor, but then you also get people who are younger who are looking forward to it.
Hmm.
Or old heads like LeBron James calling this X-Men 27 or whatever he said it was, which that's a check right there. I think it's good. I give it a thumbs up. I'm looking forward to more episodes.
Nice.
The next one that we have over here, I'll let you take it away because I only caught one. We got some screeners right before South by. They had a really big installation for this. It is Three Body Problem over on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm like you. I've only caught the first one, so there's probably plenty of people who have dug deeper into the show, and I'm seeing both really positive and really negative reactions. So
Ooh.
I'm curious how I'll ultimately end up on this. I was intrigued by that pilot episode. It's got a lot going on, so it's not a show that I feel like. Can you summarize what's happening? I definitely can't summarize what's happening. There's uh
There's two guys
elements
trying
of
to make up for the Game of Thrones show that they did.
that's the center point piece of it, right? There's stuff going on with Chinese politics, and there's stuff going on with scientists researching like potential threats to the planet, and there's this other like really sort of like trippy element
It's
about
very
seeing
heady.
numbers and stuff like that. It's very heady. There's a lot going on, but I did find they do a pretty good job, as they did with Game of Thrones. The creators David Benioff and DB Weiss do, at like showing you a eclectic cast of characters and giving you kind of like enough to understand what their place is in the world, right? Like I can't tell you any of these characters names yet, but it's like, oh, that's the scientist guy, that's the
Yeah.
girl who's dealing with the hallucinations, and that, or maybe just that's the guy from Game of Thrones, because they got
Thrones
two
right
of them
there.
in
Yeah, yeah.
here. But like I was sort of intrigued. I think the first episode also, without spoiling it specifically, has this kind of show-stoppy set piece element that uh, is a really intriguing idea that I had never seen executed in that way before, and it kind of made me want to figure out a little more about what's going on. Um, it's been a busy time, obviously, as we get back from South by, so I haven't had a
Yeah.
chance to dive deeper than that first episode, but I think I'll catch some
Good.
more of Three Body Problem. Did it do enough for you in its first episode?
Yeah, same. It's not a background show. This is one you need to be fully
Yes.
invested in because you're like keeping like a timeline of things.
Yeah.
It's
Not to
also one that
mention
you
the subtitles and stuff like that.
that too. And I heard that technically there is already a version of this, a Chinese version.
Yes, it's been adapted before, and I think that version's on Peacock.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So it's like
Yeah.
when I do my whole deep dive into it, it's going to be getting this, getting that. I know it's based off of a book. That's the big thing. They got source material that's set, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But I also heard that they're trying to deviate because they didn't make it that much foreign language. They
Mhm.
kept it a little bit more English. That they were going about it not so much in plot and details, but the feeling of it. Like, what was it supposed to evoke? So I'd be
Right.
interested to compare the two of them, kind of like people have been doing with the Dune different iterations that are out
Right.
there. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's decent enough.
Yeah.
And is it supposed to have a follow up, or are they good just having a one season?
I think there's supposed
A
to be more
miniseries,
than one
right?
season, but I
Oh
I could
dear.
be wrong. I don't know.
Oh, well, and that's
Maybe
what
somebody in
it'll
the
get
chat will let us
dicey.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, but so far I'm looking forward to diving into this. At least it looks like it's competent and is giving you something interesting. For
Mhm.
those who you had mentioned something, was it Cloud Atlas? It's got that Cloud Atlas feel.
A little bit,
Um,
right? Just in how expansive and time hoppy it is.
Sense 8. Netflix has had a good
Yeah.
job, done a good job with these types of mystery drama. So looking forward to it. Three Body Problem on
Yeah.
Netflix. Another pilot thought that we have over here, because we're going through all of them. We got Disney, you got Netflix. You ain't got none of those? Maybe you have Apple TV. You don't have Apple TV Plus. No one has Apple TV Plus like that.
Did you see some of the numbers that came out about Apple TV Plus?
What?
That
That they
they
sold
might
iPhones?
be getting fewer viewers than Paramount Plus.
Shut up. How?
If according to Nielsen, they chart even lower.
See, but that's the thing. Paramount Plus has the Super Bowl.
They
Paramount
did have
Plus
the
has
Super
the
Bowl.
Grammys.
They
These
they
guys,
got
by
Taylor
accident,
Sheridan.
they got Taylor freaking Sheridan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is Apple. They got iPhones. Like, you can't autoplay things the way you two did just to get some numbers going. Hey, the quality in these shows is still there. Do you still stand by that quote you said? You had said your line back when we were talking about these streaming services.
Yes.
Hey, that streaming service don't even exist anymore. It's Max. But do you still stand that Apple TV Plus is the new HBO?
I it's hard to say they're the new HBO when I think their hit rate is much lower than HBO's is, but I think it is becoming a destination for prestige premium television
Mhm.
for the kind of like considered high budget star driven vehicles that HBO kind of made its name on. You find them with pretty solid consistency on Apple TV Plus. Now, some of them don't really turn out that well. I don't know how deep you got into Palm Royale. That show is kind of a mess to me, but
Well, remember I was announcing that show a month
yeah,
earlier.
now people can see it, and
It's a little messy, yes.
I don't know.
She
I don't
looks
know.
great in it.
She looks great. Um,
Fantastic. But in
but
this
like,
case, I see what you're saying.
yeah, I mean, look, they literally have Masters of the Air, the Air Force version of Band of Brothers.
Yeah, Pacific. Like those are really big pickups.
Yeah.
I think they have that quality because just the other day I was at a restaurant and they were, talking to the waiter and they had mentioned that HBO show with Jennifer Aniston with the news.
Morning show. Yeah.
Apple TV. So they're already confusing shows that they are watching on Apple TV Plus, thinking that they're the quality of HBO. So I think that consensus is out there for those who do have Apple TV Plus. But I think if you remember, like before apps and everything, it was still like it was an extra, it was a luxury to get HBO. You're staying at hotels that had the marquees outside saying, and we include HBO. So I
Mhm.
think that the people who do have Apple TV Plus is equal to the amount of people who maybe had HBO back in the day.
Definitely.
We're just entering this new realm where it's like you got to compete with Paramount Plus, and you're
Yeah.
embarrassing yourself if you don't have those numbers. Manhunt is the new edition where they're doing it weekly, and it's a fascinating take on the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, specifically the aftermath, where this man was missing for 12 days.
Yeah. Like it's kind of cool because it's feels modern in the way that it's sort of like a hunt for a killer procedural,
Yeah,
but it's put against the context of the assassination of Lincoln. Lincoln, for spoiler alert, I guess, is only on the first
hold on.
episode of the show.
Oh, okay, damn. He couldn't make it 4 score or any episodes after
Nope.
that.
Nope.
Damn, rough.
Yeah, and we got Tobias Menzies,
Yeah,
Game
he
of
was
Thrones
great.
alum. And speaking of Game of Thrones alums,
Shout out Love
leading
You
the
Sunrise.
action, leading the manhunt. I don't know. I thought it was pretty riveting. It does feel a little bit like playing dress up. I don't know if it feels necessarily
Zach.
period accurate.
Zach, I can only say this on this podcast. I'd never be able to submit a review that would have me going on this tangent. But after watching that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where they're doing the Gettysburg Address, I
Yeah.
cannot take this man seriously. But it
You
looks
see the
clean.
beard glue?
Yeah, it's just like they're too 4K. I need this in film grain. I need this shot in 35.
Yeah.
It looks too crispy. I feel like I'm watching like an ESPN presentation, a 30 for 30 of this event. And
Yeah.
look, I'm intrigued by it. I think it looks cool. It's it feels new. It's not like Spielberg's Lincoln where he added textures to it that it feels like a movie. This feels like a really HD introspective, like a procedural, like you're saying, where
Yeah.
it feels like a Netflix adaptation of something that really did happen.
Mhm.
I think it's intriguing for that. I think the performances are what I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, it's really goofy seeing someone play Abraham Lincoln. I've realized that.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element to it that's almost like True Detective 1835. I don't know what year he
Yeah.
got assassinated, but I don't know. I dig it.
When did he get assassinated? I don't know what he died of. We'll bring in Amanda. Well, she knows the date right off the top. Ah, yes. The John Wilkes Booth.
I wasn't that far off. 1865, not 35.
What'd you say? Oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah,
He was alive by then.
I was kind of listening in history class.
But I'd give it the thumbs up. I'm looking for more episodes here. I think this is a good addition to Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
Trying to be more like HBO. We wrap up this next one over here. I don't know if you want to include Amanda. Just have her wait there while we talk about the most awkward final TV series that we have on here.
They're talking a lot about the Amanda show, so maybe it's appropriate that we have
It's good that we get Amanda the
Jedi. Yeah, I heard you guys talking about slime earlier, so I brought you guys didn't have this, I don't think, my Uh-Oh shirt. This was like Canadians version, Canada's version of the slime reality television show on our version of Nickelodeon, which was YTV. And I was a backup for a halftime show.
Wow.
I wasn't actually in an episode because they didn't need me, but I did a thing. I did
not realize we brought a celebrity guest on the podcast. That's pretty
You're
cool.
a Canadian Mouseketeer? I did not know that.
Wait, so is this like a sister show, or is there some weird copyright infringement going on?
No, this is like original. I don't know. I don't know if it's original.
You're saying Nickelodeon stole the slime?
I don't know, actually. It's basically, this show was called Uh-Oh, and it was like a kids reality game show where questions wrong. This guy called the Punisher came out and slimed you in this box. And now years later, people are like, homie was in dominatrix clothing. What the fuck? What were we watching? But it was like, cool.
So we're going to get a docu-series on that next, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're going to hear all about Winky Yahoo. No, Canadians are innocent. We would never.
Well, we say all this because our third slime show of the week is Quiet on Set. This thing leaked.
Sorry to bring you in for the downer, Amanda. I don't know if you had a chance to catch any of this.
I haven't watched it, but I've been seeing it all go down. But like most of it's stuff that like I feel like was very known.
Thank you.
Like they're trying to tell me, like, y'all didn't even scratch the surface for the stuff Amanda Bynes was saying like a decade ago.
Yeah,
on her socials.
I think it's a really good like coverage of what had happened. They're obviously going to be better than a YouTuber breaking it down, which they even bring up at the beginning. A bunch of YouTubers who have covered this to kind of showcase, this has been out there. They have the ability to get those interviews, and some of these interviews are really crazy. There's stuff in there that you like hear their personal anecdotes, especially when it's like a mother and a child and how they like rift it apart. There's some stuff in there that you hear and you're like, wow, that is gutting. Things that we didn't know before. But there's a lot in here that we already knew, and it feels like, we got the right hashtag to now care about Britney Spears. Now we have the right hashtag to care about this, to have it go trending. And then more people learn about it. My one critique here, is this not compiling in 4 episodes all the crazy stuff that Nickelodeon did? There are elements in this where they're really clever in what they censor to make it sound worse. There's like, they'll show you disgusting things, but then they'll censor cum when someone's saying it. And it's like, wow, you're not censoring other words. And it's like, because it adds this element to it that makes it sound worse. They'll tell you that these things that they did were really disgusting. And then they'll cut to the greatest restored footage of those pranks, of these feet things, of Ariana doing these.
Yeah. Like the weird stuff.
That's where it gets a little weird. But I don't know if you guys have heard anything else about it. I know Zach was able to catch the whole thing.
The fallout after has been kind of interesting, seeing how like some kids like were on sets where it didn't happen, and then them just the way they were reacting. So like the Ned's Declassified kids, and I'm like, you can't. They've been this has been them for a year. They've been saying shit that I'm like, go to therapy. You don't need a podcast. You need therapy.
He needs a survival guide now that he's out of school.
They
bro. I don't
all
know
do. Every single fucking one of them. And they're just like up here saying the most like unhinged shit as if it's completely normal. I'm like, y'all might not have had the Dan Schneider experience, but y'all definitely had an experience over here. And I get you're trying to defend yourself from it, but something's going on. So now they're all doing weird things. And it's also kind of making people ignore the fact that like Drake did get charged with like grooming an underage girl, and everybody's just like backing off that now. And it's like, I get he was a victim, and we can be very horrified for the stuff that happened to him as a victim, but we don't just say he's the good guy all along. And like, he had to flee the country, or he chose to.
Yeah. So Art, I think you only saw the first two.
Yeah,
and
right when Drake came out.
They teased the Drake interview. At the
I'm waiting on 2 Drake drops at the moment, Zach.
But yeah, so then they get into the Drake interview, and obviously it's like it's harrowing and it's powerful to get the testimony, but then they sort of like try to like sneak in all that stuff, all the allegations about him in the end, and they kind of let him sort of like tamp it down and minimize it, and that didn't sit right with me in a documentary that's about all of this other abuse.
Yeah.
That all being said, like it is like, I think it's sort of what you guys are saying, that these are stories that have been out there, and if you are particularly online, you've probably come across some of them, but it is like a pretty interesting kind of like entry point for people who maybe haven't heard it or prefer to take in the information in this kind of medium. It does a good job of, I think, showing the ways in which it's sort of like a culture of neglect, and it's beyond just like a couple bad actors, but sort of the lack of accountability stems from the people who are on top, right? But it is in a sense exploitive too, and I don't know. Right. There's times where I'm watching it where I'm wondering if the line was drawn in the appropriate place. But
it's a weird thing in these type of docs, right? They'll be like, some of them were famous. They show what is it, Cal or Keenan, and then they'll be like, and some of them had a really bad downfall. Look at how ugly Amanda Bynes looks, and I'm like, what are you like? But now you're doing it.
You're doing
an edit that also puts her down. Yeah,
like,
it's
leave
very
her alone. Leave him, like literally, like leave Brittany alone was a thing. We really need to like leave Amanda alone.
Yeah. But the breakdown I think that this one did, especially showcasing Amanda, was that was the show he had that much control over. Yeah. Like that's why you see why, like, not to like tie it all in, but like why she had such a hard bit of it, because that's who he was overseeing the most.
Yeah.
Alina had sent me this bit about like Dan Schneider being really into feet, and they're like, we didn't know that. And then you look at the Nickelodeon sign
logo,
from that time, and it's a foot. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up
just
over here.
Weird shit.
Hey, I've had a lot of people who, Amanda, you and I cover a lot of stuff that is very, teen centric and goes to younger audiences. And many times, us being older, it's like, why are you covering that stuff? I have heard people literally use Dan Schneider as a defense for why they were covering stuff as like a 30-year-old. They're like, you don't even know that Dan Schneider made this stuff. Boy, you look like a bum. I would delete that video if you still have it out there. Like, that is not an excuse.
Yeah.
But like you said, all this stuff has been out there.
It's been out there.
It just needed to be compiled. I know we're calling it exploitative, but like sadly, that's what people need in order for it to pack a punch for them to get it.
I think it's just that if you're going to what's the word I'm looking for? Something your morals, if you're going to put your morals aside or whatever, to get the interview with Drake, so that you don't want to have any of the narrative of what Drake did, or you don't want to go into that and being like, we can acknowledge that this person's a victim, and that might have contributed to why he went on to victimize someone else, but not all victims will go on to victimize someone else. And that's not a free pass to victimize other people, but they don't want to mention it because they got the interview, and that kind of pulls so much together. So
yeah, it's the cliffhanger in episode 2. I'm about to eat. I don't want to keep watching this. I'm gonna put on curb, and they end with Drake with the whole riser and everything. I'm like, that's manipulative.
Yeah.
When you listen to the music, when they're describing personal stories, like the crazy stuff about the PA, about the people who were helping out and had like a really big connection with the adults.
Yeah.
You don't need the manipulative music.
I think even just the format of a docu-series rather than a single documentary movie kind of does this one an injustice, because there's that motivation to kind of give you that cliffhanger, keep you watching, you know, pull you along for more episodes. And it's like material like this should not be handled with that kind of sensationalism. So while I'm interested in all the stuff that's covered, and I think it deserves to be covered in a thoughtful documentary, there's moments where I felt like the filmmaking really let me down.
But it worked, sadly, and that's the craziest part. It actually got
trended,
people talking.
Yeah.
And it trended. And I guess if you're looking for awareness, at least there's that.
Yeah.
Ewan, I'm so sorry. I know your podcast is also called Quiet on Set.
Just take it. Take the win.
Terrible,
take the win. Take the win.
Oh,
do a tie-in episode.
Do a tie-in. Just shift your podcast to being entirely about exploitation.
Yeah, talk about the Alex Winters podcast, which is now actually finally getting attention. Like that didn't get
really.
Yeah, like I'm seeing, well, at least I'm seeing a bunch of clips of him going at like Barbara Walters and different people being like, you're going to hurt the industry. And it's like, but if the industry is founded on people being pedophiles in areas, what are we defending, you know? So
exactly. Quiet on Set, the newest one to come out on HBO Max, I believe is what it's on. So if you're curious to check it out there, I also think all 4 episodes have been uploaded on Twitter multiple times. So I'm sure you could find it for free. It's
wild
as it should be. But let's move back up now that we've got Amanda the Jedi here to talk about the biggest movie to come out of South by to premiere like immediately afterwards. Immaculate.
We finally I am kind of bummed that they didn't so I was in line for Immaculate. Yes. And then Zach says, Amanda, this after party has karaoke.
It did.
And even if it wasn't karaoke where like Ryan Gosling is upstairs with Emily Blunt and the rest of the cast, I love karaoke. So I'm sitting there humming and hawing, looking at the reviews that already come out for this movie, and I say, I'm going to do some karaoke. And I'm just like running to the streets, and I'm like, put in my Backstreet Boys song, Zach.
I think we even have the footage of where Amanda was when she could have been watching.
I heard.
There we go.
I heard you sounded immaculate.
Hell yeah. I think I did pretty good. And then I would just like to
wait. This is karaoke with a band?
Yeah, it was live band karaoke, which actually had some problems when occasionally someone would try to switch things up or someone would mess up.
That's insane.
They definitely screwed up.
I thought you meant like you were doing live karaoke.
No. I was like fronting a band karaoke. But yeah, so the person in the white off to the left side there that's like kind of dancing, directly next to her is Daniel Kwan.
Yeah.
So Daniel Kwan, I look over and Daniel Kwan is like singing Backstreet Boys back at me. It was a very surreal experience.
Yeah, so with that, you can't regret doing all that instead of seeing Immaculate.
I do not at all, because now I've seen Immaculate and I've sung karaoke in the presence of Ryan Gosling and the Daniels. Because the other Daniel was also in the crowd. He just was not directly in my face.
He's like right there. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's right there.
We'll tell more of these stories in our next live stream where we
we're gonna do a whole South by breakdown for that. But now that we've seen it, should it have been included in a roundup?
Honestly, I thought it was solid, like not amazing. This is the second movie this week where I'm kind of like, this is a solid 3 stars out of 5. Not better and not worse too.
And here's the one.
Yeah.
Cuckoo or this?
Easily this.
That's what I felt too. I was like, my other thought was, I really wish they had swapped positions. I get it at film festivals. The earlier in the festival something plays, the better it technically is. But like my mind was all like, Cuckoo played on a Friday. No, Cuckoo played on a Thursday. Cuckoo played on the Thursday. Immaculate played the Wednesday. Flip them. Get that Thursday night primetime spot to Immaculate. But by then people are like, oh, people are leaving now. And it's like, no, sorry.
I remember the reviews coming out of South by, and I think this had played somewhere else or started screening. And
they did some pre-screenings for press.
It was getting a little middling. I think it's a little bit better than what the first ones were coming in. I think it's settled out a bit more too.
Yeah,
because initially it had the same reviews as Cuckoo. Actually, Cuckoo was a little lower because I remember I was like telling Mirjani that and looking at it, I'm like, we could have been at the Civil War after party. You wanted to come. You wanted to be here. So we hauled ass. We're here now. So
the Civil War after party was peaceful.
It was peaceful. It was it was not a after party. It was actually called a. Dude, my brain is not working. I can't think of any words. Reception. It was a reception. It was a Civil War reception. Yeah. Dude, my brain cannot think of words right now, but yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Immaculate itself was a movie that I think she like pitched to the director, who I think she had worked with.
I have the
right?
story. I do have the story. Not
Okay.
sorry, Zach, not to cut you off. She got the script for this movie and read for it, and then didn't hear
10 years ago.
anything for like 10 years ago. Like she was young. Like this is a
10 years.
young girl. Like it wouldn't have even made sense for her to be in it. I don't think, unless they wanted to go real weird with it. But she gets the script, reads for it, doesn't hear anything. Assume it must have gone to somebody else, and then always just kind of keeps asking her people like, "Hey, did that movie ever get made?" And then it didn't. So she hunts down the script. And then is just sitting on it until someone's like, "Hey, I want to do a horror movie. Do you want to do a horror movie?" And she's like, "That's so funny. I have a horror script." And then they make it. So she's like not just like executive producer. She is like she's kind of like owner of this thing. Like this is hers.
Yeah.
Which is why she's so proud of it and making like the rounds of like being at all these different festivals and events to talk about it and do the Q&As.
Exactly. She talked about how part of her dealing with Sony in order to get Madam Web made is sort of the promise that stuff like this would get made too. So yeah, she's doing the Hollywood thing.
I gotta go do Mr. Web
one for you, one for me.
I can get those screenings. Yeah,
and you know what? And that she has a like what's the better movie at the end of the day? It's Madam Web. Sorry, but you know, like we got. You get to have both. She got two bangers.
Ain't it funny that she had a better dress up, like suited up as a nun than she did as a Spider Woman or whatever?
Yeah, it's true though.
After that, like you said, the way that she was able to get her story, that intrigued me. I thought that was really cool. She ended up linking up with this dude, the director who did The Voyeurs. Y'all seen this?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Amanda, have you seen this?
No, what is this?
Oh, Amanda.
Justice Smith.
Amanda, the review for Immaculate is over. You need to go see this. Everything they said that she's gone through in Euphoria. I guess she really likes this director because I'm telling you, she went above and beyond. Bro, they are voyeurs who are observing other people, not just have sex and everything else, but at a certain point they think they're being seen. And her and Justice Smith, they get there. This is crazier than some stuff in Euphoria. And yet she went, you know what? I like you. I'm giving you the script. Partnered up with this dude. Trust him. They made this movie. And I think we get a lot of stuff like The Nun. We get a lot of stuff that, especially in the Blumhouse era where things look really cool. Right?
It's kind of like Christianity freak out movie.
Yeah. And they make for good trailer bits. Then you watch it in the movie and it's like, oh, it was just a dream. But it was kind of scary when they were going at her. Yeah. The movie is made up of a lot of that. But I think the core story, while being Rosemary's Baby kind of again, actually does a flip with it. She is a woman who ended up like surviving this miracle of being stuck in ice, enters this convent, and gets to know a lot of the sisters there who may or may not have something against her. But it's really this priest who was a man of science at one point, who may have other things that may end up haunting her. I like the story and what they end up dealing with, the Immaculate title. I know the ending is going to have a lot of people talking. I want to discuss that further in another video. Yeah. I think it's fascinating. Yeah, and Zach was telling me, or I think Alina was telling me, that the guy who shot Ronald Reagan in honor of Jodie Foster did a review for this movie.
From prison?
John Hinckley, yeah.
The fact that Zach knows his name is insane. But like they were reporting on his review for this because he said y'all are doing too much with Sydney Sweeney. But Sydney Sweeney, keep doing you, because I thought that the ending like shot was pretty crazy. Yeah. I thought it was a great shot. I thought it was a decent movie.
I think that might have been a satirical article.
Oh,
I hope.
I'm doing the Googling right now.
I'm sorry if the prisoners get to watch in current theater movies that the attempted murderers of, regardless of what president you tried to kill. I don't know if you should have access to Immaculate yet.
And he's no longer in prison, says the chat. So,
that's fair. It was only Reagan. Sorry. I'm Canadian.
He didn't kill him. I don't like. I think Sydney's pretty good in this movie. I find her to be pretty excellent on Euphoria. I did not like her in Anyone But You. I thought the part just wasn't like a good fit for her. And then Madam Web is Madam Web. But like with this, I think it taps into the thing she does really well on Euphoria, which is kind of play a little bit naive and a little bit innocent, and then have these freakouts, have these kicking, crying, screaming, like foaming at the mouth type of freakouts. And the movie is just kind of like an assemblage of moments like that, where she is sort of meek and sort of a pawn in this larger machine. She's this nun who's newly joined this Italian convent or whatever it is, and doesn't really know her way around, kind of is at the beck and call of the priests and people there. But then, like, one thing that I like about it is, I think a lot of times you watch, a haunted house movie and you're screaming, like, just get out of the house. Pretty quickly, she kind of realizes something's amiss. The movie doesn't really waste a lot of time. It's less than 90 minutes long. You're not
It's
like
very
sitting
short.
there.
It's a
You're not
breeze.
sitting there waiting for like the inevitable. It kind of just goes to the inevitable.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty solid the way that they
Yeah.
tried breaking it out. They said that she was not aiming to be a scream queen, but an anguish queen or something like that. They really wanted to showcase the pain that she like feels while she's going through it. I think it's kind of the same face that she did in Euphoria when she was locked in the bathroom. But hey,
Yeah.
it works on screen.
Yeah,
It's what she's good at.
she's good at it. Yeah, it is really breezy, but then in some ways it almost feels like it's too long for like the amount of what they've put into the movie.
Mhm.
At times, like it almost feels like you could have actually taken care of this with a short film, because it doesn't really go deep in certain areas, which I don't think it needs to go like super deep with anything. But it's just like you could have had more for like figuring things out on her own without someone just being like, "Ah, yes, in a past life I was this," So yeah, it was it's interesting.
Yeah, there's certainly some creepy atmosphere there that like isn't necessarily super plot relevant, but some of it is just like there for the horror sickos. We had this conversation about whether or not Cuckoo is for sickos. This movie to me is more for sickos than Cuckoo.
Yeah, I would say. What do you think? What do you think the baby looked like?
I mean, I read actually.
I got a First Omen poster if you want to see it.
I read that they first tried to use a goat bleat for the sound effect and realized it made it sound too campy.
So they just got a real baby or what?
They pitched a baby coughing down and a cat crying up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cats actually get used for a lot of sound effects. Like a lot of the dinosaur noises in Jurassic Park is just cats.
Cats are weird.
Cats are great.
I love cats. Cats are weird creatures.
I love them so much.
Dog person, I'm sorry, but hey, shout out the cats out there as well. I think it's worth watching as like a rental. I don't think you need to go out to the theaters, even though it does. I think it's shot pretty well. It has some really good set pieces.
It is,
But I still think it's worth watching at home.
Yeah, this is like this is the rare case where I would say don't watch it in a theater because of audiences. This movie got a C cinema score. That's maybe the worst cinema score.
Is that what the cinema score is? Is that what the cinema score means? How well audiences react to it?
Yeah. So like the test audiences that are coming out, they got the cinema score people out there. Yeah. So it tends to be people who are watching it for free.
Right.
Well, no, I think it's actually paying moviegoers that they interview.
Like opening weekend?
Yeah, opening weekend they interview people as they leave the theater. I think so. I could be wrong about that.
You think it got a C because of the movie or because of the ending? Because I've heard the ending split
a little bit of both. I mean, I think the movie is kind of like unpleasant in the way that certain horror movies are unpleasant, but then the ending takes it a step further. And I'm sure there's people who who just sort of won't go there with a movie. They're hoping to see like some fun nun action with Sydney Sweeney, and then they get this like really disturbed moment. But I think because audiences are having this intensely negative reaction to it, my theater was like some of the least attentive audiences I've had in a while. A lot of people on their phones, a lot of people asking like, should we go? Should we leave? Like
I was
watching the explainers right there before the movie started.
Right.
Yeah.
So it might be a more pleasant environment to either wait for an empty screenings or just rent it when it's available, probably less than a month from now.
Fair. I agree with Devesh. Watch Benedetta, the better nun movie. We're gonna get a lot of religious movies. First Omen. What else is that's like really religious that's coming out? I want to say that they're trying to do a couple of other spins for Rosemary's Baby.
Even Monkey Man is pretty oddly religious in weird ways, and you haven't seen it yet, but it's like oddly.
I haven't seen it yet, and now I'm seeing all this other news come out from it. So I'm just trying to be like, I'm just here for the monkey.
I want the Hanuman mask. Where are we going?
Yeah,
that's all I'm coming in here for. But that is all of the big movies that were new that came out this week. The TV series pilots. Mandy, you sticking around for a bit?
I'll stick around. for a little bit. I'll stick around.
Well, we had people asking your opinion on a movie that I think you are very invested in. They really wanted to know.
I see where you're hovering.
We're just doing a quick recap on some of the festival releases that we had. We already talked about this one over
this
at
out?
Sundance.
Yeah,
This is out.
The
It
American
came out.
Society of Magical Negroes.
We were out. We were at South by when this and Love Lies Bleeding came out. So,
but I heard about Love Lies.
Yeah,
it's so funny. Okay, when I visited my parents last, I saw so many commercials for this movie. Nothing for Love Lies Bleeding. Then suddenly, Love Lies Bleeding is out. Everybody's talking about it. It's great. I haven't heard fuck all about this
because something happened, which Zach will bring up later. I think you know. But quick thoughts on this, just a refresher. I don't think any of us have really changed our minds, but I'm still standing on the side that this got a really bad reaction because when you're making these movies that are going to talk about a sensitive subject, who the proxy is needs to be someone that people are going to relate to, and I don't think that Black culture is looking at Justice Smith as their conduit.
Yeah,
that was their biggest issue there.
Yeah.
It's also these.
That makes it feel like it's for white people. Sorry, Zach.
No. It's also these elements where there haven't been a lot of like opportunities for Black people to respond to tropes created by white people. So I feel like when we get this opportunity, people put a lot of expectations into it, right? Like I saw a lot of people who saw the title of this movie and got really excited, and then they saw what the plot is of this movie and lost all that excitement.
Yeah, it's also
and so this movie in a lot of ways has the weight of culture on its back, and it is not equipped to handle that kind of weight because it's ultimately just like a cute little romantic comedy, not one that I think works particularly well. I didn't hate it.
It's like Antebellum.
Right.
It's like, what if we just made this into like a horror park? And it's like, no, people aren't going to mess with that.
Yeah.
They didn't read the room. They thought comedy was going to be different. No.
Yeah. I mean, there's elements that I think worked. Justice
Isn't that the craziest part?
That's problem with it. Although, like he's fine in this kind of like charming role, but again, like it just doesn't. It feels like the movie is let down on its larger thematic issues.
Yeah,
rather than like.
You don't think Kobe knew what the people needed?
It did feel like it spent, as a woman, it felt like it spent a lot of time dealing with the plight of women for a movie that probably should have been a little bit more focused on the plight of the African American specifically. I feel like it made points that all made sense and were like what they kind of wanted to be, but then it just felt the need to just add in this entire other aspect rather than focusing on what the movie is saying it's about, which is, Black people who dedicate their lives to make white people's lives easier. And it doesn't end up really feeling like it's about that in the end, other than like they have like a
who wants to see that,
right? Moment? Yeah.
Like why would the people it's about care to see that? You have magical powers and that's what you're using it for now. There'd be a revolution.
Exactly. And even if like you want to take this plot and take it in a different direction, like to take that plot and put it towards like falling in love with this girl is just such a weird undercutting of your own idea, right? Like at the end, there's these like larger implications for this American society, right? But it kind of feels like it's out of nowhere. Like, how did Justice Smith cause all this to happen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
With his like awkward.
Oh, that was it was his light skin privilege, guys. That's what it is,
And if it's like Zach's saying, the world that they try to build without getting into spoilers for the American Society of Magical Negroes, they could have approached this universe from any other angle than this. I'll wrap it with our screening. We were watching this at South by for one of its premiere showings. Sundance, my bad. We were at Con. We were sitting in like the John Wilkes booth seats. That's what I've been calling the ones at the Ray.
Yeah, they're
which
good.
is like just two rows. It fits our group perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And right behind us, there was like who the movie's for. like the white people who are the people in the movie. It's just these really rich white people are sitting behind us. And we had been waiting to showcase like that it was Tammy Faye up with RuPaul in the like pre-roll thing. And we had pointed up to it, and I'm like, see, I told you it was there. And I'm like, oh yeah, yo, yeah, oh yeah. And we all went, oh yeah. And the lady behind us goes, groupthink. And her old white guy goes, yeah, groupthink, yeah, groupthink, yeah, groupthink. And I thought it was the funniest bit. They didn't even know what we were talking about. They just thought they were smarter than us. And I'm going around seeing that they're doing the exact same thing. Every joke they laughed at the movie, showed so much about them and where the movie was failing at being a movie not
Yeah.
meant for the audience it thought it was shouting out to. It's
Yeah.
almost like what people thought about American Fiction. It's giving a pass to some people.
Yeah.
This is the movie
It
that
does even more. American Fiction does it like a little bit, and then you just know there's some people just taking the jokes like completely the wrong way. Like it's like in The Office. It's like, no, you're not supposed to laugh at what he said. It's that he said it that's funny,
Right.
not what he said. And there was some reactions to that to my American Fiction screening at TIFF. This movie is just kind of like for those people, like very much. I'm not saying I didn't laugh at some of it, but then some of it you're laughing and you're like, I can't. What are they doing?
I mean, when you have the boy from what's it called? The other two.
Yeah. That was a good bit of casting Drew Tarver as like a
Tarver. Thank you.
You need like a inherently unlikable dude.
You do, just
who
that
has
face.
no problem getting there. Yeah, and there's Justice Smith has 2 really good speeches. The best one is obviously going to be in I Saw a TV Glow, but the one that he has in this movie with this character is really supposed to be the big like, hey, anybody can be this character that you're seeing up on screen. He's not really racist. It's just he has a tendency to do things that put him in the back burner. I thought that was profound, and some people need to hear that.
Yeah.
There's a small moment in this movie where Justice Smith is wearing what is it, XR VR goggles, and he sort of wanders over to a staircase, but doesn't actually fall down it, and that I feel like is pretty representative of this movie. It kind of tries but isn't actually willing to go there, isn't actually willing to do the thing.
Yeah. What this man looks like is representative of this movie right here. But that is the American Society.
He wanted to be Justice's character.
He is Justice, damn near. But he seems like a very interesting guy, and I don't want to disrespect the story. It's just like, damn, you gave a story out there that was very specific, and it was not going to speak for everybody. And that's usually the struggle with a lot of these type of movies that want to be specific. Kind of like Roadhouse, which came out and premiered at South by as well. We were there for the premiere. What a premiere it was. We have several stories of how this screening went because it felt like we were seeing Roadhouse in real time up on that stage with Conor McGregor trying to steal the show. But after a little bit of time, we got a whole review up for this one, so we'll keep this one short. I still think it's pretty decent. I've seen people really come down on it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I do think so. But
honestly, but for me, after watching The Fall Guy, that's when I look at Roadhouse and I'm like, why do you exist?
You start adjusting.
You start adjusting. It's like when I saw TV Glow after Love Me, and I was like, why do you exist? Why are you here? I think
it's perfect for it to be.
It's fine. It was fine.
Not a bad movie to be.
No. It's fine where it is. It's not one of the ones where I'm like, oh, it's a bummer. It's not in theaters, and I'm like, you're where you belong.
Yeah. Like I'm surprised just in terms of like the star wattage they've got in this thing that they didn't try to sell it. But again, agree with both of you. It doesn't need to be seen on the big screen. The only question I have is how much of the negative reaction that people are having now that it's streaming is because of those really ugly digital effects that might be even worse at home.
That's a great point.
I don't even know if I've seen people necessarily complaining about that. Like some of it a bit,
react to it from the trailer.
A lot of people really don't like Connor in the movie.
A lot of the talk about Connor in especially his interviews as well, which is one of the big things that we saw when he was up on stage. But I think I got the exact reaction that they needed for it. I think the people who are on Amazon Prime watching Reacher have already seen this movie, and that's who the intended audience.
Yeah, of course.
Another one that is out in theaters, I think we all got to catch at Toronto.
No, I didn't. I skipped
you didn't catch this one?
You all said it was bad, so I saw something else instead.
I mean, the fact that it's been out for like 2 weeks and no one knows anything, I think people want Knox to go away and they don't have a problem with it. It is the.
I think they hit me up. They were really trying to get people to cover this with the whole like, oh, we can give you access to it early, which is not something that people in your position usually get. And I was like, go fuck yourself. You're in my inbox. I'm not in yours.
Right.
I'm not begging for that. Well. They needed people because no one even remembers his first movie, The Merry Gentleman. I couldn't find this like last year. Then I searched for it right before this is about to come out. Yeah, this is on every free streaming platform. It was the first movie that Michael Keaton directed and starred in. Now he directs and stars, and Knox goes away where he is a hitman who's starting to lose his memory. And before he does, can he get one job out of the way? It's okay. I don't think Zach and I have changed our opinion on this anymore.
Liam Neeson have one about this like last year too. Like didn't he have
Liam Neeson did one, forgot he did one, and then did another. But no, it's memory. Yeah, you're right. It's memory.
There's memory. Yeah, and then maybe mildly different, but
the ending to Memory like was very conspiracy theory. This is more like he's trying to look out specifically for a family member, and he's like, if I can do one last thing, that actually maybe brings good in this world after being a hitman, can it bring something? I didn't think it was worth you catching it at the festival when you have so much other stuff. And even now that it's out in theaters, wait for it at home. But it wasn't the worst, just wasn't the
It
best.
ain't playing here.
Hey, I will stand. Al Pacino was good in it. People hated him in the movie. I liked Al Pacino in the movie.
I think if you're casting Al Pacino, that's what you want. I mean, it was a lot of like announcing Best Picture energy in this performance.
Yeah, my eyes saw a good performance. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately my thing with this movie is like, for a movie about the complications of navigating your high pressure job while dealing with your Alzheimer's diagnosis, he remembers just about everything important at the right time
when he needs it.
Yeah,
that's how reality works.
Very convenient Alzheimer's diagnosis.
Better memory than me. He was reminding me of what happened in the movie earlier, like crazy stuff. Wrapping it up here, we had another documentary that premiered back at Sundance last year. Not even this one. 2022, 3, if I'm not mistaken. The Tuba Thieves, where a bunch of tubas were going missing. That was the premise. Zach, did you catch this?
I did. And it's kind of interesting because that premise is a real bait and switch. It is not very much about the actual robbery of these tubas, but it sort of is the launching point for this really interesting, very experimental approach from director Alice O'Daniel. She does a mixture of documentary footage discussing this series of crimes where tubas were stolen from high schools in the South California area. But then there's also these, what I think are scripted bits involving deaf actors that sort of show them navigating their life. The thing that's really most interesting about the movie, and I think that poster that you pulled up kind of hints at it there, is the way they handle subtitles or captioning in general.
Yeah.
I've never seen a movie do quite this much in terms of its subtitles, where not only are the subtitles sort of aligned on the screen to sort of be near the actor that is just performing them or saying them, but they also put into the captions just about every sound you hear. So if there's a low hum from a lawnmower in the distance, there'll be a low lawnmower humming caption. If they show a musical performance and they caption each member of the band with what kind of style they're playing. So the violinist is playing soft, fluttery notes. And I just think it kind of is this movie that in some ways explodes your idea of what a movie can be or how a movie can be packaged, right? Because this isn't a film with like a very traditional narrative. If you come to movies looking for like a story to be told that you're going to latch onto, I don't think you're going to have a good time with this one. But I've never seen anything in this sort of mode before. And I think that it's really, really interesting. Like, it's really thought provoking. It makes you think about film in a different way and what film can accomplish.
So I'm pushing it up even higher on my watch list. Then this was one of the ones that we had missed out of the docs. Good stuff.
I wouldn't say like this is the most riveting film out there. Like it's for sure.
But it does something interesting.
It does
for us who watch so much. Yeah,
exactly. Like if you are somebody who feels like you keep watching stuff and it's all the same, this is gonna shake you out of that rut for sure.
Perfect.
Or maybe gently rock you out of that rut would be more appropriate for the pacing of this movie.
That is all of our movies, all of our TV, and all of our festival releases recapped. We did it. We're set. We're caught up. Gonna go take another break so then we can get 4 weeks of stuff that we don't need to cover there, because it's never just movies, but also movie news. Zach, you had a movie that came out. Well, you didn't release it, but you had one that you actually really liked a lot last year.
Yeah.
It's finally out.
Yeah.
People were really loving this movie, which means Variety has to start some BS and talk smack about it. Zach, break down this Late Night with the Devil AI buffoonery.
We talked, I think, briefly about Late Night with the Devil when we saw it at the South by Southwest premiere last year.
Yeah, because we liked it more than Art and
I
did.
And it wasn't a movie that I think got a lot of hype.
I said it felt like AI, y'all. I want to hear me out, but I was like, I don't know.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. I was surprised with the hype it was getting because it felt like a really under the radar small horror movie, but then it gets that 100% in Rotten Tomatoes and people start talking about it. Now that
made $666,666 on a Friday.
That's some bullshit, but
sure,
sure. That's an estimate.
The Guardian, Fox Business.
It's very genuine business reporting.
So
I'm
you're saying
proud
they're
of it.
lying a lot, and they
No,
can't blame it on the
Sundays
devil
are
here.
those Sunday numbers are estimates. It just shouldn't get reported as news like that.
They
It's
just stopped it at
ridiculous.
11.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the movie finally comes out and people realize that there are a couple title screens that are AI generated. It's not a big part of the movie. I think it's like 3 or 4 different screens, takes up less than 10 seconds of the total runtime. But the director even admitted to it that the screens were AI generated by the production designers, graphic designers that they had on the movie. And now it's become this big lightning rod point for a lot of people, because we're also post the writer strike and the SAG actors strike, in which AI and the use of AI was this real sticking point. So knowing what we know now, Amanda, for you, does this change your opinions at all about a horror movie that we thought was like pretty inventive and interesting, not amazing, but a pretty good time?
Yeah, it's kind of like disappointing. Like when you read into it, it's like they basically used AI to generate the image, and then like that the artist just modified them. So it's like they were still paying an artist who just used AI. So it's not like someone who couldn't. It's like it's so weird. I don't know why they did it. It's more. It's weird that they did it, but I do want to give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe when they made this movie back in like 2022, that they wouldn't have considered the downsides to this or fully understood what they were necessarily doing. Like if you just genuinely don't understand that, like generative AI versus the learning AI is different.
Yeah.
And
there's some
then
people who don't know how to spell AI.
Yeah, like it's just kind. I can see the distinction there, and then like maybe once you learn, I haven't looked too deep into what their reaction has been since it, and like if they've been like apologetic and it's like it's not something we'll do again. Now that we know that it is just taking from other existing art from real artists, we won't do it again. But like I will give them the benefit of the doubt for having 3 CG the AI images as transition scenes in a movie that overall was like really unique, really interestingly filmed. I don't know if it fully stuck the landing, but it was like super, like very riveting while watching it. I was so engaged. I was so into this movie while I was watching it. And it sucks to just kind of like discount the work of a bunch of people. I totally get saying this isn't okay. We're not going to be okay with this going forward. But to just treat this like, I feel like they're going harder on this movie than they were on the AI intro for fucking that Marvel show.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people did go hard on it, but a lot of the Secret Invasion, a lot of people did watch the show anyway while complaining about it. And like Marvel has no fucking excuse for that behavior.
Nope.
So it just feels weird that this is the one you really want to pick your fight with. I get that there seems to be some weird stuff going on with this one in terms of the marketing. It's been in my like trending for like 2 weeks. So it's like I don't know what's going on with it. And maybe that's why they're trying to knock it down. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with this movie in particular, but I still think
Devil's got a good marketing budget.
I think he does. I still think it's an interesting movie. I can understand if you don't want to pay for it in theaters, if that's something you want to do, but like if it's on streaming eventually, like I just, give it a watch. It's like, it's unique, it's interesting. And it's like the kind of movie that you're like, wow, this is such a cool, fresh idea. And that's kind of what makes it so depressing that people are just saying that it just took things, which it did, because we're not denying that, they've admitted it, but just, I don't know. It feels weird.
Yeah. I mean,
they're from Australia. You're not attacking Hollywood by attacking this movie.
Everything's upside down over there.
They have IA over there, but I think like they're doing the cause that they think they're protecting. They come off like the South by protesters wearing Nikes. Like you think you're doing something more so for the show of it, and not necessarily like this isn't the movie that's going to destroy this AI thing that you're thinking of. I think a fascinating one I've seen is people do these loops on like, all AI is scary. And I don't think we understand AI fully. There's stuff to critique, there's stuff not to. But this idea that if you did AI prior to the strikes, then you're okay, is some mental Olympics that is happening on what period in time? Like what that makes no, well, he committed the crime before it was a law. It's like, nah, that's really weird. And it shows me that people don't really believe in the morality or whatever issues that they have with AI. They just agree with the like, we all have to post something about it.
Yeah. To me, the distinction really is just more the understanding. If they knew what they were doing when they were doing it, that fucking sucks. And I probably wouldn't want to support their work. But if they were just kind of like, I thought it was just making things up. I didn't actually know it was stealing other pieces of art, or if it's just the artist who decided they wanted to experiment with it and then draw over it. That sucks, and again is worthy of being called out, but is not necessarily worth just shutting this piece of media out entirely forever.
Because I can
help with jobs is still losing their jobs. Like what?
Yeah,
because I can talk about my own personal experience and just like not necessarily knowing from the start that generative AI is based on all these like stolen copyright material, right? Like you hear AI and you think it is this like this original creation or whatever of the computer, but that's not how these machines work. And as I think we've all come to have a better understanding of it, we've all gotten a better idea of the ways in which it is, like robbing people of jobs and stuff like that. But as we mentioned, like this is not really robbing people of jobs, and this was sort of happening before. I think a lot of the discussion points around this like were as widely talked about. I don't know. I would hope that they would consider maybe just like replacing it on the home video release, especially because it is such
or even theatrical. Just roll out. It's a digital copy. Just roll out a new digital link for people to click to press play in the theater.
That money.
They did it for everything. I don't even know if that takes money. That's just like, oh, sorry, here's the updated file.
Distribute it a bit, but they're making money. Like they've got a budget. They've got the movie out there. It doesn't hurt it when this press might be hurting your movie to make a change. Yeah. But hey, it is out in theaters if you are curious to add to that 666, or if you would like to add to. Zach, you're taking this one away. I don't even want to pull this up, but I have to. Zach, present it first, and then I'll show this image.
So we mentioned that Love Lies Bleeding is now in theaters. We talked about it on our channel. You can go look up our review if you want. I'm glad more people have had the chance to see it. And it's a there's a lot of pleasures in the movie. I can see wanting to like have a very pleasant experience with that.
I'm gay and I wasn't gonna go there. Continue.
That's why she sat in the front row. There was a bar.
I did. Right? I was there. No, I don't see the bar. The whole thing.
So yeah, somebody took that pleasurable experience a bit too far. I think it was at I want to say it was at an Alamo Draft House, and
you're cozy. They'll bring you a drink.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Oh my god! I didn't know there was a picture.
Yeah, there's
the projectionist guy.
He fell asleep
with his joystick out. Yeah.
Now I've been drunk. Oh, he's got a little fireball there. Is that
so
fireballs?
If we dissect here, he's got some rookie stuff that he's bringing in here, right?
His own smokes.
2 little fireballs over here. Marlboros. He was smoking.
Yeah, he's got the Marlboros. That's what I'm saying. I was about to say, the only thing it's missing is they can't bring him a cigarette when he's finished, and he brought him himself.
So the story goes, he snoozed, and was like through the credits they came to clean up and found him, right? Like he had. Who knows when he knocked out?
God.
Yeah, it's generally unpleasant. I mean, maybe they need to.
Did they give him extra tickets since he fell asleep?
Alamo no texting notices is keep your pants buckled, but
yeah, we're gonna have a new one. Jeez,
keep your pants on.
Yeah, A24 has been trying to market off that, and people are like really upset about them for doing it.
Josh is like, imagine the Dune bucket next to him.
Somebody else sitting next to him is like, wait, is it this kind of movie? Are we what? Was it?
I don't know what was happening.
You bought the 4D ticket.
Yeah. I'd say
I was rumbling them.
I'd say don't try this at home, but this is the only place you should be trying this.
Just be normal. Don't, man.
Oh man! Look,
it's
a hot
movie.
Love
Lies
but like it's like
theater.
Art said, it's like disgustingly so. Like it's not trying to be attractively sexy. It's just it's grimy. It's grimy.
Yeah,
it's a grimy ass movie.
Cannibals, bro.
This is the people that at the monthly lesbian meetings we say, oh, you don't want to talk to her. We leave them over there now. They over there. They go to the different gym now.
Yeah, he's over here watching it like George Michaels. Is some bad stuff. Bro.
Enjoy the movie, but don't enjoy it too much.
Yeah,
Love Lies Beating.
and I love the movie. It's a very good movie. I don't know if we've told people to watch it because we were in.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, big fan of this one. I know Zach didn't like it as much as us, but I deeply enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it goes.
I wonder if I was
this guy than Zach.
I wonder if I was maybe a little too negative in our review, just because I was like the counterpoint to the two of you, because there's a lot to enjoy in the movie.
That's fair.
It's you watched it wrong.
Yeah, man, maybe you needed a different experience. No, No, we don't do that. We
No.
respect art.
Yes.
And yeah, you too. But yeah,
That
no,
is a
it
new
was
solution.
it's good.
think-
It's good.
yeah.
I get it. Sometimes you go into festivals and things are it's like I feel like maybe I'm too hard on Love Me now, but like it's more with me being so hard on Love Me is everything around it and what they told me about it. And I guess if you go into a movie with ever being like, this is so fucking good, I'm so excited, and you walk out being like, well, I don't like
Fine.
Drive either, so why would I like that? You know, I get it, Zach. You're fine. You're fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All it takes is a couple of fireballs and you're there. Don't you worry. But that is all of our movies, all of our TV, all of our festival stuff, and wanking news. It is time for the most important part of the show, and that is shouting out the Intercutie patrons.
Oh, what a way to make this transition. Thank you to those Intercuties who support the show.
That would never wank. They would never wank in a theater.
Look, if these people continue to support us after that segment, then they deserve all the thanks in the world. It's
because we provide those segments.
It's exactly. The Academy level members are Tushar, Cademan, Connor, Josh, May, Ricky, Joe, Wiley, and Benji. And the producer level patrons are Yuden Veer and Toon. Huge thanks to all of you, and reminder that you too can become a member at patreon.com/intercutpod, where you can join for as little as $3 a month to get patron benefits like early access to some Intercut episode outlines, access to some Intercut episodes before we post them to the public, including our recent top 10 of South by Southwest. Patrons had that much earlier than everyone else. And you can get an invitation to our monthly Patreon Google meetings where we sit and chat with all of you about the latest happenings in film. The next one's happening tonight, so not too late to join up on patreon.com/intercutpod and get yourself some access to the patron benefits. You can also join that Patreon for free if you just want to know the latest about the podcast. I'm always posting what we're doing for the upcoming week on that channel, so you can head over, join for free, join at whatever tier looks best to you, and find out the latest happenings on the podcast at patreon.com/intercutpod.
Beautiful. Now we get to the upcoming stuff. Like I said, we start this next week with just juggernauts. It's big movies after big movies after big movies. And this next one over here, I know not all of you guys are into CGI stuff like that, but we have a really big sequel coming up, and that is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It's not even popping up over here.
My guy Merjani,
he's like, nah. Yeah, Merjani.
Yeah, it really does not want to. Yeah, my guy Merjani bought the 4DX ticket to see this one, said he was the only person in his movie theater.
While we were in line for Immaculate, by the way, before we left Immaculate is when he got the 4DX tickets for this, when he realized he couldn't get the Sweeney showing.
Look, sure, why not? I saw a coffee shop take Winnie the Pooh and use him for their Valentine's Day stuff. So at this point, it's free game, I guess, completely. But you heard this is now the Poohniverse, right? Or something like that? I want to make sure I'm saying it right. I want to ruin it. They are starting a whole 100-acre woods. So
I'm upset as a Canadian.
Why? What's wrong?
Because Winnie the Pooh's Canadian.
He's a bear.
Winnie the Pooh is a real bear from Winnipeg, Manitoba. And the kid Christopher Robin is a real kid. Winnipeg. He was in a zoo in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So he's Winnie the Pooh, and Christopher Robbins is a real kid.
I thought he was British.
That's what we sounded like back then. Zoo. We were all British originally.
But is this London, Ontario, or what's going on?
No. It's here because, okay, Canada has these things called Canadian Heritage Minutes, where when you're watching like our version of Nickelodeon, they show little commercials about things Canadians achieved and contributed to, and that's one of them.
His real name is Winnipeg.
Well, the kid was all like, we can call him Winnie.
Yeah. No, you're right. He's a Canadian bear who died in England.
Yeah, they shipped him off, and I was like, well, that's probably what killed him, leaving our great land. But yeah, real bear.
Kids?
What?
Different. Does he have to do with Cars for Kids?
No, totally different.
But maybe Winnie the Pooh 2, Blood and Honey might be doing that, and I will not be watching this in the theater because I don't think
I haven't seen the first one yet.
The first one is you could see the the latex of the mask.
Yeah, of course. Just
so you could see the CGI and all of these characters in the new Godzilla X-Kong, the new empire. They were fighting, but like Rocky and Creed, they came together to really fight the Russians. I don't know who they're fighting in this one, but it's Godzilla by Kong in IMAX. I'm catching my screening tomorrow. It's still Adam Wingard. Yeah. Look, the last one wasn't great, but I had a dumb blast with
Oh,
it.
the Death Note boy.
That's all I'm looking forward to. Before Death Note, he had some decent movies.
That's
But this
true.
might be his Death Note, and he may not be coming back for other ones. Because compared to Monarch, I think they're finally finding their footing. For the Apple TV show that they had, that is like where I think this franchise should stick to. This might be the last hurrah to go full CGI. They switch up the colors to purple and that orange. Look, I know it's not a great movie. I'm looking forward to having a blast with this.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to
Godzilla.
be some trashy fun. I mean, they brought back Rebecca Hall. They brought back Brian Tyree. I don't know, man. Hopefully it'll be a good time.
We'll see. Do you care for the Godzillas at all, Amanda? You a Kong fan?
No, I saw the first one, like the first, like the 2014 one, and it was pretty good. I'm not really a fan of like big dumb monster movies. I feel like that's also why I've stopped liking the last handful of Jurassic Park movies too, because like it stopped. I don't know. It was like, we're just gonna start blending them together, and I'm like, well, that's just dumb.
Even this 2014, that Godzilla is this Godzilla in what world?
Yeah, it's
what world?
Yeah, not opposed to it. I just haven't caught up with them. I probably wouldn't dislike them, but
did you see -1?
No, I hear that one is good, and I should give it a go. But it's there's just so many things to watch at any given moment, so I haven't.
I'm not a big Godzilla guy, but I thought that one was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I hear it's quite good, so I will make time for that one.
Sounds good. 3 of the other ones that are coming out, we have on Netflix, this one called The Beautiful Game. Bill Nye, I think, is playing like a coach, but in particular, Michael Ward has been getting roles after roles after roles. He was in One Love, Empire of Light, I think was one of the biggest ones. I think the best thing he's been in is Small Axe, but he even, I think, was Judas in The Book of Clarence.
Oh.
Now he's here doing a soccer movie that is a true story. I'm assuming this is like one of those trailers where you just assume it's a true story. I don't know if Zach, being more the soccer head, you know more about this, but it looks like an interesting Netflix.
It seems.
Yeah, I don't know for a fact, but this is based on the there's a tournament called the Homeless World Cup, where they it's sort of meant to raise money, but they actually have like
that's an insane name.
Homeless World Cup.
They actually have homeless people competing in this World Cup.
No,
people play soccer everywhere.
It's like Invincible, where like Mark Wahlberg just showed up to play for the Eagles.
Yeah,
look, you'll do this for a cup.
You'll think it sounds weird now, and by next week you'll be crying about it after we watch The Beautiful Game.
All right. Amanda did catch this one at TIFF. Wicked Little Letters is finally ending, and I was excited for it. People were giving middling reviews, but Amanda saw it. She's like, "Nah, it's tight."
I liked it. It was fun. Yeah, that's not middling. That's like, well, it's middling, but
no,
like
at TIFF.
Oh, fair. Okay. I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was really fun. It is also based on a true story. Really great performances. Not a perfect movie, but like just fun. It was like, I had a lot of fun with it. It was one of those ones I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch this by the end of the festival. And it worked out. And I was like, well, that's one of the better ones I've seen. So yeah, big fan.
Great actors.
Yeah, great actors. You can't go wrong.
The other TIFF pick that wraps up our coming attractions is one that I know y'all are really excited for. We got to hear them. Now we fully get to be with them.
Yeah.
Hate to love.
This is how. Yeah.
I took a picture of Amanda rocking out next to the poster.
Yeah.
Jeff Borislow and I were rocking out.
Yeah.
On what is it? Young Street? No, it wasn't Young Street.
No, Young Street with the non-alcoholic room temperature beers that they had there, Sapporo's or whatever.
Yeah.
I got like I think one shot of them singing "Saving Me" or something, and then we had to walk on to the next thing. But I heard
that's called Hero. Bitch.
Which one?
The one you're saying. Me? It's not Saving Me.
Saving Me is their song,
isn't it? Don't you mean Hero? And they say that a hero could save me, or is there another song that I'm now missing?
There is another song called "Saving Me."
Wow. Okay, missed that one. Apparently,
don't check me, bruh. This video is one of my favorite videos because they got a clock of when they're gonna die, and someone needs to save whoever's got the countdown clock. Now you're sending me back to the old days.
Hang on.
What's up?
Oh yeah. Why did I think this was just a totally different name? That's a banger.
I think they have multiple songs. They could have a
Hero
one as well.
Yeah, Heroes from the Spider-Man soundtrack. That's why I thought you would be talking about that one.
That one might just be Chad Kroeger, though.
Oh, damn.
It is just Chad Kroeger, but they still play it at their concerts.
Oh, well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Saving Me Nickelback, that's
Yeah.
my top pick of the week for you to watch at home as a music video. Because I think that's gonna be a lot better than the documentary that they have out. But I heard it's kind of decent. We'll see. I'll be
Yeah.
catching it on streaming.
That
But that
letterbox graph
is,
looks like a middle finger.
dude, I was literally about to say that. It literally does. But let's get into our picks for the
Yeah,
week.
let's do it.
Mine is pretty slim. I'm going with the Godzilla pick that I had there, but I'm also going to go with another new release of this week in Frida, a movie that came out at Sundance. I thought was a pretty good documentary in the way that they were able to use archives or create things that came from her writings, that came from different things that she talked about. A really good documentary from Carla Gutierrez, who used to be, probably will still be, a really big documentary editor. And the directors of all of these documentaries are the producers for her. So I like seeing how they're pushing her up. Frida's a really good one. And I guess that'll be my 3, Frida, Godzilla, and the Saving Me Nickelback video.
All right. My picks for the week, I'll start with La Chimera. I don't know if either of you have had a chance to see much about this or if you know much about it.
I walked out of this one at con because I felt so, I don't know. I need to watch it again, but something about this movie was making me feel so weird and I didn't like it. So I just left.
It is weird. Like there is sort of like a weird nature to it because it's got these like bursts of magical realism, but it also feels like this like low key gritty drama about these guys who rob graves, like ancient burial sites, and sell off what they find,
which is so cool.
Yeah, it's like a really interesting premise. And then you've got this really incredible Josh O'Connor performance at the center of it. Like I had no idea he could speak this much Italian, but he's like credible as a person at least who like has spent a lot of time in Italy, if not as like a native. I don't know if I thought this movie was great. I ended up going only 3 stars on Letterboxd, but there are like these moments that have really stuck with me, that feel like really alive in a way that not every movie does. And yeah, just the whole idea of our relationship to the past and whether or not we should be meddling with these things. I thought is a pretty fascinating element. I can see this not being everybody's vibe. It sort of meanders and
it's over 2 hours. Yeah,
it meanders and it doesn't really make it clear what it's about until much later in the film. But if any of what I said intrigues you, I'd seek it out. It's a pretty interesting movie.
I will finish watching it. Like I will get to it. I just cannot describe the feeling I was getting while watching this movie. I had to go.
And I will start it if it's playing near me, but I might catch it at home.
There we go. Another one of my picks for the week is Girls 5 Eva. It just returned now on Netflix. The first 2 seasons were Peacock and Netflix took over. They've got that relationship with Tina Fey dating back to Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt and stuff. And I just am really happy to see like an inheritor to the sort of 30 Rock 50 jokes per minute rapid fire legacy continuing. This is a show where it's just chock full of these hilarious, absurd one-liners, these ridiculous characters. I think the whole cast is really, really good. But in particular, Renee Elise Goldsberry basically doing her version of Jenna Maroney is hysterical. There's this whole bit where she talks about her neglected childhood, but does it in these ways that she like is able to sneak out of it and actually not have experienced neglect. It's hysterical. I just think this is probably right now the show that I'm laughing the hardest at. I previously talked about how I've been doing a whole 30 Rock rewatch, and this is totally in that same vein, in that same spirit. Netflix only did 6 episodes in that 3rd season. I'm hoping it's just like a test to see how much people are interested, and then they'll do more in the future, because this is like a very, very funny show. Just I miss comedies where they are just trying to give you as many jokes as possible, and this is full of them. So I would highly recommend people check out Girls 5 Eva, especially now that the whole thing is available on Netflix. But the thing,
are they creating more, or did they wrap it?
They did only 6 episodes so far. I don't know if they've been renewed for another season. So watch it. Maybe they will.
You saw they also picked up The Tourist from HBO Max to continue a season there, and there was another show. Like Netflix is really just adopting anybody that they can right now. But
it's cyclical, right? Like we went for a period where everything was together, and now we're going back to how Netflix started, picking up other people's shows and licensing shows from HBO.
What is time?
My last pick is the one I'm most looking forward to checking out this weekend, and it is Steve, in parentheses Martin, a documentary in 2 pieces following the life and career of actor Steve Martin. For my money, one of the funniest people ever to exist in Hollywood or around the comedy scene. I just find him to be completely hysterical, but he's also a pretty interesting guy, a deep thinker, a person who's very interested in the arts. I've read his book, Standing Up. I've seen most of his movies, so I'm just looking forward to a deep dive into his life and what this documentary has in store. Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. I don't know a whole lot else. It is directed by Morgan Neville, who, you know, I can be hit or miss. He did what was it? The Won't You Be My Neighbor documentary, I believe, was him.
Fan of that.
He did that. He did 23 from Stardom. More recently, he did that Anthony Bourdain one, which, speaking of AI, used some AI. But yeah, I still am curious to see and just spend more time in the life and career of Steve Martin.
Looks like that's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Amanda, any picks?
Yeah, we're throwing this on you on the last moment, but is there the movie that people should check out the most right now? Is it Love Lies Bleeding?
It is Love Lies Bleeding. That's the one. That's the one.
You'd also recommend Wicked?
I would recommend that, and X-Men 97. I'm not done it yet, but it's been fun, you know, if you're an X-Men fan. Just like 2 episodes so far, but it's been yeah, I like it a lot so far, because I'm a big X-Men fan. I'm a big X-Men fan.
Were you a fan of the original cartoons?
Yeah, I still own literally every type of X-Men cartoon on like DVD. It's not my favorite. My favorite is X-Men Evolution. But this is really good. I love the original because that was the first one I saw, but there's something about X-Men Evolution that just warms my soul. But no, this is a very fun continuation.
Fire. Why do you think they fired him?
I have no idea. I just saw that this morning. I just like.
Oh, really?
I'm very good at not seeing things. I'll see the weirdest things, and I won't see the really huge shit like this.
Yeah. I think Disney wanted to like soft fire him for whatever it is.
I wonder if it's like a Bryan Singer situation. Like maybe he was doing some shit.
What is it with X-Men, bro? Such talented people.
Hypothetically, supposedly.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly.
No, that's a good pick. I've been liking the X-Men stuff.
Yeah, it's fun so far. Cause yeah, like I said, I'm a huge fan of the X-Men. People being like surprised, being like, oh my god, there's supposed to be like Malcolm X and like, you know, this wild. I'm like, yeah, like haven't we all known that? And then like in the 2000s, it became more of like the allegory for like gay people. And, you know, now we can go back and it's everything.
I like the Gambit bit where they were arguing about Gambit being dressed the way he's always been dressed.
Literally, like, that's what he looks like.
Yeah.
People get so pissed when he's not dressed like that.
Yeah, for being comic accurate. But the slew of stuff, picks for the week that we had, along with the coming attractions. We're back at it next week, covering all of the most recent stuff. But right after this episode right here, we're going to be streaming another one with Amanda the Jedi joining us to talk about all of the stragglers from South by. But even bigger than that, we're keeping the movies at the end. We've got so much other South by Austin-centric stories to tell you. Some of the craziest stuff, how we did the wrong things the right way, which is actually in a Drake song. One of my favorite Drake songs, Lord knows. I had to go back because him and Rick Ross aren't together anymore. He says it in there. And just all of our campfire stories following this episode. But for this one, we're wrapping it up. Amanda, where can people find more from you?
You can find me everywhere at Amanda the Jedi.
Beautiful. Zach.
You can find more from me at Zshevich across social media or at Multiplex Show for more of my videos on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram.
You can find me over at LME Movies on all social media. And a reminder that you can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on iTunes, Anchor, whatever your favorite podcatcher is, like Spotify. I listen to the raw files. You can catch the live video here on youtube.com every Monday where we talk about all of the weekend must-watch picks. A big shout out to all the Intercuties who listen live, all of the patrons, and everyone who leaves us that 5-star review on iTunes. Zach was telling me that we charted on Nigeria?
Yeah, we were like number 4 in film reviews in Nigeria, but we've been having a good week in a few places. We were on the charts in Greece. We hit top 20 in the Czech Republic. We were in the UAE, in Singapore, in Poland, in India, South Africa, Italy, the Netherlands, Ireland, Mexico, Brazil, France, Germany, doing real well in Canada. Thank you, Amanda.
Hey.
And charting in the United States this week too.
Sick. I'll
Nice.
take it.
Pretty cool
Right
country.
there.
Sometimes.
Beautiful.
Not really.
Shout out to all the inner cuties who are listening everywhere. We appreciate that. Look at this. International, a global brand. We're top 3. We're the big me's right here. Don't forget to leave us a comment. Drop a like. Follow all of the social media stuff that we have linked down below. And until next time, keep watching movies, but please keep your pants on.